champion, he said, and further, he'll never again challenge for the world title. And that didn't work out so well for Cody Rhodes the last time they tried a stipulation like this. He also was pitching the idea of it being a Texas death match. The fans were chanting Texas death. MJF said, give me a week to think over stipulation. If I agree to this, he set us for me. He said, we both pitch a stipulation. We both have to agree to the stipulation. Hangman has given his word that if we do, he will never challenge for the world title again. Wednesday, we decide on the stipulation for our match. They talked about Texas death so much that it needs to be something else. It needs to be a combination. They're breaking out. Texas death Wednesday. Now, I don't know added here by MJF on Wednesday. With the stipulation that I'll never again challenge the world title so long as I'm here in AEW. Understand why they want to do it. It's part of the show. Then MJF is losing the title. It's the only way they got to fulfill that Hangman. Yeah, he's one of the top names in the company. He's still relatively young. I'm sure he's still going to be there for many more years. Push himself into a position like this. Especially if he's going to lose. Right? We need to do that. But there are ways around it. The easiest would be if he loses. The easiest would be for him to just go back on his word at some point if they ever want to turn him heel again. The easier way around it, which would be to have you win the scene on the move. To guarantee him a shot in the AEW. Here went on. He changes his whole gimmick, right? He all part of the narcissistic gimmick. Celebrating wrestlers in the battle on their shoulders and they celebrating it today. Never again. Challenge the WWF Championship. It is not the best that was. WrestleMania followed. So in this case, you got this contract that now they're doing the gimmick with the Casino Gauntlet. With the contract, you got a guaranteed title match. You can't cash in like Money in the Bank now. You got to give at least a week's notice. Like there are ways around the stipulation. This is not a foregone. This means MJF is losing his title at Revolution. You can see that happen. Story here. And MJF he's coming into this match for right now, that he's on this. More likely, I think, is that we see Swerve costing Hangman against against MJF. His goal is to get back the championship, and here meets Kenny Omega out of the picture, and what to be. And yes, that was MJF can't be done. And as we saw that, there was one I've said the same thing about it. They want to complete the show. And they're still teasing it. It was wild. We see footage of Collision. There was things believed that we in a House of Glory show. MJF says on Friday. That's funny. During MJF, he ran down the way during the match and MJF used the very bell as a weapon. And on Friday, ran down and just grabbed it. He snatched it right away from him. And then he passed the belt to Zilla for Zilla to use as well. But they're airing this on Collision last night, and they shot it. It's funny because I went to go, when the show was over, I went to go find MJF, and I saw him like storming down the stairs. And I couldn't imagine what was going on here, and I guess he was going to confront them Friday, so I kind of held back here when he goes down the stairs, and Andrade is in the dressing room there. And they're kind of promos on each other backstage at the NYC Arena. And this is what aired on TNT last night, so that was wild to see. But Andrade said, I still have my sights set on that time. And I said this on the Uncraft Wrestling show on Tuesday, and I mentioned it on TNT as well. That should be the Grand Slam Mexico match in a few months. Because I know they're planning on going back to Arena Mexico. I presume that would be in June. That's what they did last year. Mexico. They shut down there. Yeah, so you have this little champion. That match in my opinion. Not ready. So I'm thinking I didn't play MJF. I don't know. Time first which I don't know that they would be running them unless they had a sense he's going to be back soon. This thing's kind of really, so I don't know, man. They're planning something big for me at All In, and I hope this so they have some sense that he's going to be medically cleared a lot sooner than that. Because the Owen, because they want the Owen to start August.
Refinancing their student loans is easy. Check your rate in minutes with no credit impact. Customize your monthly payment down to the dollar. Need a break? Skip a payment once a year with no penalty fees. And here's the best part. No fees of any kind. Earnest. Student loan refinancing made easy. Earnest loans are made by Earnest Operations, LLC. Skipping a payment still incurs interest. Terms and conditions apply. Support is available 24/7 care.
I know. But I thought that Megan Bain was positioned well to get a single shot next. I think that might be the Revolution match. But to me, that is the Revolution match, and I can build with Megan Bain. Bain got a big squash for that down on Collision last night. Jon Moxley and Konosuke Takeshita, it is confirmed. They will have a rematch for the Continental title at Revolution, but this time there will be no time limit. I've said there should be a title change in that match, and you begin to think it's going to be a match with Okada, champion against champion, title for title, to unify the two titles again. We gotta get back to that story. We gotta get back to Takeshi and Okada soon. FTR and the Young Bucks, we now know it is confirmed. They will be meeting for the AEW World Tag Team titles at Revolution. This will be the first time 2-on-2 these teams are wrestling each other since Dynasty 2 years ago. So at least there's been some distance there. It's honestly, it's not a match that I would like to see just because we've seen it so many times before. But there's been no other clear team that's really been built up and established in this spot right now. And they've lost a few teams due to injury, right? Including the Hurt Syndicate, Jurassic Express, Mark Davis and Jake Doyle just got put together. They're done now. Except for injury. They lost teams. But announced this last night, the Rascals did beat FTR and win. Puts them in contention now for the titles. In all the times that AEW has done these fucking limited matches, has there been a time where a challenger won the Eliminator match and then went on to get their rematch and won. I'm almost positive that in every single instance, they won the Eliminator and lost the actual title. I don't think it's happened the other way around. But the Rascals did win, and this puts them in contention now for the titles. I don't know what the plan is to add them to the match of Revolution. I don't think so, but they're in the mix now. And at the end of the show last night on Collision, they shot a big angle where FTR was actually wrestling the Rascals. They lost Gates back and Ricochet right now to attack the Young Bucks. And FTR turned their attention to the Young Bucks. And they proceeded to Young Bucks father. I don't know if you noticed this, but disgusting. Yeah, he got some powder to the face, and then they grabbed the Young Bucks and you would have seen this guy in a lineup. And they proceeded to give Brother Buck a spike pile. Phoenix months ago, that FTR attacking family members to overheat on the end.
You okay, man? Sit down. Sit down.
It's back on Dynamite. The backstage segment for Statlander. And a big interview by Renee. Statlander mentioned that she's still not cleared to wrestle for a few weeks, but she's coming for technical. And Rosa said, well, I have to officially cleared as of today. And I don't like what's been happening to you. And she said that she wanted a match. And Statlander worked her one technical that's capable of it. Rosa worked her first match. And all the Texas that was fine. And it was a singles final. It was Leah Hart, the Triangle Madness. Jim out dealing with an unspecified injury. And then I know she publicly mentioned that she and her husband, 15 years, they split into the network. Back to the TaylorSolomonster@gmail.com. Please include your name and where you are from when you write it. Taylor in Sacramento. Tell me whether in Sacramento is a hell of a lot better than it is in New York right now. As I got clickbait today, but AEW can be such an incredibly frustrating company to watch. It's at 9 by Sacramento. Omega versus Swerve was fun, and I enjoyed the heels round. After the Ambos run off Swerve, they are Kenny to great. Kenny is sitting there. You've just been in a close match. He's not going to chain for a great match. It's exciting. He's glad to be in the movie like that. He's definitely talked to the right place. Just have a little cute baby. Terms like heel, baby face, like that drives me fucking nuts. You know, supposed to be a good guy, supposed to be a bad guy, you know, like, don't talk about that shit on TV. That kind of stuff drives me nuts. Stuff like this off the air when the show is over. There is a single person who bought a ticket to go to that show on Wednesday. He's thinking he was thinking, and Matt Jackson. Eric from Los Angeles has been a fan since the early 50s episodes. And just for some perspective, we're now in the 950s. So he's been moving for a while. Says I'm a big Stephanie McCare fan. That being said, do you think WWE made a mistake? Why not putting the world title on Raquel? They really pick Raquel for a world title match at WrestleMania. You know, I think that's put that up. Raquel was a heel. Challenge her for the championship of WrestleMania. First of all, that's not. It doesn't scream like a marquee WrestleMania title match, but like, why would you leave it? Why would you? I don't understand why you would want to have a babyface in that match. Like, it should be that with Kyrie or something like that's what I see so much. But no, I mean, look, Stephanie's one of the big roster to be fairness. She had a really good match. She just won the championship. And she's why Sacco stands out to me since she's been up on the big roster. It's not the one really good match she had at the end. That's about it. Like, I look at what she was doing in NXT, and then I look at the way that she's booked on TV, and it's like night and day. It's been very, very useful. Very, very useful. Oh my. It looked Kane, it was raw, and it's the top guy. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on whether Kane ever truly had a ceiling, or if it was always going to be limited by what we expect over the shows. Yeah, Kane was the 2000s. Like, that was probably the best. But he was not Steve Austin with Rock. You know, he still had a mask on, and I don't think he was actually cutting promos to the mask. He was still like Rock. I don't remember. But he wasn't Stone. He wasn't The Rock. He was never going to be like the top guy. You mentioned Cody and Roman, like that was never going to be Kane. Kane was always going to be a supporting player. But you ask, like, what was his ceiling? He could have been more champion for an extended period of time, not just 24 hours. And even if you got 2003, when the mask came off, and then we had Bald Kane, who was like let out of the back of an ambulance in chains. That version of Kane also was like a dominant world champion for a very long time. It's a big baby face taking time from. But in 2000, like, that was the reason why Austin and Rock and those guys were on top, because they were draws. Kane was not as tall as those guys were. Would he have been? I don't think he would have been drawn the way Rock did, but Rock and Austin. Stuff. It's just the character that he was portraying. Always just like that guy was fixed for a long time. Getting to that type of that's like the dominant heel. And then the Intercontinental Champion, the Tag Team Champion, and the European Champion. If that character come along today, where we have the WWE title, we have the World Heavyweight title, and even the World Heavyweight title, the King, right? Or one deal. I think it's just a product of his time, but that's what that's so fucking old. We go back to that return. I always point that match out. It was a 10-man tag at Reunion Arena in Dallas. It was February 7, 2000. Almost positive that's the date. From Cactus Jack was cool against Triple H and the Radicals. That was the night Paul Bearer walked out in that red suit and slammed it. Kane came out and fucking choke slammed everybody. My God, look at this guy. He's honest. People want to take a cheer for him. So, yeah, that he could have been a much bigger attraction. But he was never going to be, he was never going to trust him. Never going to haunted times beyond some sounds of hidden beyond there. The Salamonster on Instagram and Salamonster on X. There's more places to go. Guys, know that backstage, and Candice LeRae coach, she said, and we see Johnny Gargano. He is lying face down on top of Fox, and is part of NXT. Laying back, flying all the way. There he was on that. He wants to do your job, flying all the way in. He's to lay face down on Fox. 2 minutes and say nothing. Nothing. Like, as it was like. And that's it. That's all he did on this show. That was his only chance to fly into Earth and lay on top of the Fox. I mean, look, I guess it's the best version we can get. Salamonster sounds off. Check out the weekly live stream. Don't miss out on the subscribers. Follow the Salamonster on Facebook, Instagram, and X. The Salamonster. Welcome to the Bus Open Podcast, along with Justin LeBar and John Rogan. On today's show, we talk about AEW's World Title picture with Maxwell Jacob Friedman, who should be the top contenders for fresh matches in 2026. Find out next, right here on the Bus Open Podcast. Just I want to talk to you about Maxwell Jacob Friedman. MJF, I told you during the Super Bowl, I saw a number of his interviews. It wasn't the pull my finger, tell a joke. It wasn't a guy that's insult me, insult comic dog. He actually was doing Ross Tucker's podcast, NFL podcast, and really doing a great job of promoting, obviously himself, the champion, but definitely putting over AEW and talking about the difference between AEW and WWE. So this time around, I've been very impressed by MJF and the things that he's done. And but I wonder about the next champion. You talk about shades of gray or part of big thing. So in fact, it launched and watched that match and you heard that always about that politics consultants always consult us
I love you. I love you. Don't worry, we're about to head out of here soon.
Low sees MJF walks away, and he says, "This heaven." So, if I understand Elio perfectly, he said, "Why are you wrestling in Indy when you should be wrestling me?" Is that pretty much what he said? Like, why are you coming to the Indies wrestle when I'm right here in AEW? Yeah, essentially, that's what he's saying. Okay. All right, I thought that was interesting. So he'd be on the top of my list as well. How about MJF against Takeshita? I think that's more possible now than ever. Because Takeshita, again, this is the slow boil in AEW. Takeshita is a babyface, but is not. We haven't seen the complete turn just as of yet. When people are rooting for Takeshita against MJF for the AEW Championship, I want to see that. I think from a match standpoint, bell to bell, yes, but we don't hear a lot from Takeshita, so that I guess the building of that for me, I'm curious about it. Again, he didn't advertise the match. So you saying like, and if that matchup takes place, what does Takeshita say? Because he doesn't have the command of the English language. Yeah, not to be able to fire back. Yeah, maybe he does. We just haven't heard. I don't know. Up to this point, when I think Takeshita, I think of what I've seen in the ring. I don't think of anything in terms of selling his match to the microphone. It's always somebody else doing the talking. And so that would be my thing with that. I, again, had no problem with him challenging the title to have an advertised match. It's your title, on a card being defended as MJF was a proven draw. So again, if you want to advertise the title match, so it's just kind of like. Like a heel, as he should be. He's behind the body where he finds a weakness. He keeps people look at the body of work and man, yeah, he takes some cheap shots. He works fast. But just out of this rare, he's a
wrestling, right? And it's always big, and it's always physical. And he's just the unfriendly champion to me. How much or went back and watched that matchup against Bristol, that semi match that they had, the lap match in Australia. Oh my God, and they just kept, I mean,